Okay, so now I want to discuss the importance of the macronutrients of proper nutrition. There are three major macronutrients that you should know of. One of them is protein, and the other one is carbohydrates, and the other one is fats. Now I'm going to tell you guys right now, they're all very important. They all serve a critical purpose, and I'm going to go into each one into detail. But understand that some things I will discuss, again, they're just methods that you can temporarily use to promote more fat loss, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you need all three of them, and they all need to be balanced. So let's go ahead and talk about the first one, protein. Okay, protein. Now, everybody knows about protein, right? Protein is found in meats, dairy, even some vegetables, or it can be fairly high in protein, like beans. Trying to think here of another one. You got beans, soybeans, things like that. But protein does serve a couple of very important purposes. The first one, protein rebuilds your muscle. Without protein, you cannot rebuild your muscle mass. Okay, especially if you're doing any kind of high intensity training or any training at all, really. You need to understand whether you're running or lifting weights, with the exception of Zumba, because that's just really not much going on there. But anything that requires a lot of muscle activity, you have muscle breakdown, okay? And the protein that your body intakes, that it uses, is used to rebuild your muscle mass. You rebuild muscle, your muscles become stronger, they become fuller. The more muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolic rate is, meaning the more calories you burn while you're just sitting down. The less muscle mass you have, okay, the less calories you're going to burn, the more susceptible you will be to gaining fat. So number one, again, rebuild your muscle. The second one is that protein has been shown in studies that it actually controls your hunger more. Without a doubt, out of the three macronutrients of protein, fat, and carbohydrates, protein will give you the longest lasting feeling of being full. So the more protein you consume, okay, the more full you're going to be. Especially if you're one of these people that you're always hungry and you just have a lot of cravings and a lot of things like that. There's certain protein sources that would actually help you control your cravings. Okay, so second one again is protein can obviously help you feel fuller, and which in turn will promote more weight loss. Again, number three, it also kind of goes with number one, is the more protein your body consumes, especially if you're following a strict weight training regimen, the more gains you're going to make, the more muscular gains you're going to make. And once again, as I discussed before, more muscle typically means less fat because you're going to burn more calories. More muscle means you're going to be more toned. You're going to have a nice, fuller body. I always laugh and joke about when, especially women, tell me, well, I don't want to lift weights, I just want to tone. And my answer is, what do you want to tone? You have nothing to tone. In order for you to tone something, you need to have muscle mass to tone something. And in order for you to tone something, you have to do weight training, cardiovascular training by itself. And what I mean by cardiovascular, I mean, just being on the treadmill, doing cardio classes, power Pilates or whatever the hell is out there. A lot of those things really don't promote muscle gain or toning. If you're already kind of toned, you might get a little bit toner, but the reality is if you really don't have, if your body fat is really high, if you're at 200 pounds, body fat is 50% of your weight, that tells me that you don't have a lot of muscle mass. And at that point in time, your focus should be weight training, not cardio. Okay, number four, the other benefit of protein, studies have shown that with higher protein nutrition plans or diets, you basically will have more bone density, less chance of experiencing osteoporosis. Okay, so that's another really important one. As we age, you need to understand that as we age, our body naturally breaks down more muscle mass. An average person will lose approximately a pound of muscle. I believe it's every couple of years. And a pound of muscle doesn't sound like much, but it's actually quite drastic, which is what explains that. You hear people all the time say, oh, I used to eat like this and never gain weight, and now I'm just, getting all kinds of fat. Well, that's age for you. No, what's happening is that because of your lack of activity level and training, you're losing muscle mass. and at the same time you're losing bone density. That's why you see a lot of people, or average people, the older they get, the shorter they get, because they're losing bone density. And that's the reason why when people age, if they break a hip per se, it takes them longer to recover. So again, importance of protein, it's really, really important even for your bones. Okay, so let's move on to the next macronutrient, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, just like fat, have gotten a bad rap within the last few years. Everybody says carbs make you fat, and that's not true. An excessive amount of everything, excessive amount of carbs, excessive amount of fat will make you fat, but the reality is that that's not really what makes you fat. Is the excessive amount of calories coming from one macronutrient is what really makes you fat. Being in a calorie surplus is what makes you fat. Eating a lot of carbs, whether they're simple or complex carbs, and you not being active enough will make you fat. You need to understand that carbohydrates is the macronutrient in your body, that it tends to be the main energy source for your body. Okay, so if you consume too many carbs, if you're consuming a very high carb nutrition or diet, I hate to use that word, but a lot of people will understand it better this way, a high carb diet, and you're not very active, well then yeah, if what your body doesn't use, your body stores. So that's what you need to understand. But enough of that, let's get into the importance of carbohydrates. Number one of the most important functions of carbohydrates, energy. They promote energy. And if any of you out there have done any kind of crazy low carb diet, you notice that your energy level was just down to the floor. I'm not a big advocate of low carb nutrition plans unless they're being used for something specific, and depending on the activity level of the person, but you always need carbs. Very strict low carb diets should be used wisely and should only be used by people that know what they're doing. I don't recommend, if you do plan on using a very low carb diet, something like the Atkins diet or something like that, I highly suggest that about every 4 to 5 days you have a carb up day or refeed day or refuel day where you basically carb up. Again, your body's hormones, even the fat loss hormones, are, how much your body produces these hormones is predicated on your consumption of carbohydrates. So don't just go low carb and stay there. Definitely go low carb if you need to, because you're trying to promote a little bit more fat loss, because it works well for you. But then up your carbs every couple of days. I myself, whenever I'm doing a fairly aggressive fat loss, I do lower my carbohydrates a couple of days out of the week, but then I have a refeed day where I eat again and I basically carb up to restore my glycogen storage, especially with the amount of weight training and high intensity training that I do. Now, the other benefit of carbohydrates, it promotes more muscle, believe it or not. Okay, why? Because without carbohydrates, we really don't have an insulin response. You need to understand that every time you eat carbs, okay, your body's pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. And the whole purpose of insulin is basically kind of like the gateway for the protein into the muscle cells. Okay, without insulin, we wouldn't be able to restore our muscle tissue. So definitely, it's important. I myself, even when I'm doing fat loss nutrition training, I usually conserve the highest carb consumption for post-workout, so right after my workout, especially if I did very high intense weight training. And again, why is that? Because I can chug a big thing of protein, but if I don't have the carbohydrates in there to back it up and to promote all that protein to enter my cells to restore my muscles, then it doesn't do me any good. So that's usually what I recommend. If you're trying to lose body fat, try to consume most of your carbohydrates, even more of the simple ones, around your training time. Okay, last but not least, fat. Again, this tends to be a hot topic with people because a lot of people still believe in the old taboo of fat makes you fat. But that's not really true. Fat is a very important macronutrient. Now, the fat that we store in our body, you got to understand that that's what it is. It's stored energy. Your body uses fat anytime it senses any kind of starvation, meaning a calorie deficit, basically a reduction in calories, or just straight out starvation. If you run out of food, what your body will actually do first, before it even taps into the fat, is it will tap into the quickest source of energy. it'll go for the carbohydrates in your muscles, the glycogen. So hypothetically, let's say you run out of food tomorrow and all you've got is water. What you'll experience first is that your body will start to use up the glycogen in your muscles first. Okay, once it runs out of glycogen, again, your body it's programmed to conserve fat as the last resource of energy. So what is your body going to do next? Is going to go for your muscle mass. It will tap into your muscle mass to a certain point. Once, after a few weeks, you're pretty much looking all sucked up, looking like you're about to die of AIDS. Pretty much at that point, now your body will go into your fat stores to pretty much keep you alive. Okay, that's the reason why not eating is just not good for you. You have to eat to, be healthy and promote fat loss. But there's a lot more benefits to fat. One of the other benefits of fat itself is, better skin. There's certain things inside fats that certain fatty acids that promote better health for your skin, for your hair. I'm sure you've heard of avocado rubs or even coconut oil rubs. Okay, they're all really good, and again, they keep your skin moist and elastic, that's what you want. As we grow older, our skin loses elasticity, so therefore that's why you start kind of getting wrinkled up. But there's a lot of fats like omega-3 fatty acids, essential fatty acids that will promote better skin health, better nail health. Okay, things like that. The other thing of fat, believe it or not, is that more fat in your nutrition, and when I say more, I don't mean a buttload more, but just the right amount of fat, promotes more muscle mass. And a lot of people don't know this, but fat, especially saturated fats, good saturated fats, found in egg yolks, meats, and things like that, what they do is they promote more growth hormone and testosterone in the body. And as we all know, and if you don't know, growth hormone is critical for muscle mass recovery and also muscle growth and fat loss. Growth hormone really is an antagonist to fat, I guess you could say. Growth hormone, the more growth hormone you have in your body, the more fat loss you're gonna experience, the leaner you're gonna look. That's why you see those people that are gifted, that they really don't work out, but they're all leaned out and ripped out. Their body creates a lot more growth hormone than the average person. Okay, so if you're average, like myself and other people, then having a little bit higher fat in your nutrition will actually promote more growth hormone in your body. And testosterone is big. Ladies, you do produce testosterone. The issue with women is because of your ovaries, you don't create as much testosterone as men. Okay, but you can create a little bit more. You have a little bit more effect by consuming more good fats. And what do I mean by good fats? Monounsaturated fats, fats that are found in nuts, olive oil, okay, coconut oil, those kind of fat sources, avocados, those are great fats that you need. Saturated fat has had a bad name for a very long time, and saturated fat has actually been found that consuming the right amounts of saturated fat will actually lower your overall body fat composition and lower your cholesterol and risk of stroke and heart attack. Okay, the third one, okay, reproductive health. Okay, studies have shown that people that have a very balanced nutrition plan with, it's a little higher in good fats, have better reproductive health. And again, it goes back to the hormones. What the body's reaction to these fats is when it comes to the hormones. Estrogen, testosterone, growth hormone, all these hormones give you better reproductive health. Another study showed that having a balanced nutrition of fats in your diet or nutrition for men, and actually reduce the chances of cancer, prostate cancer, and women, even breast cancer. So again, if you guys want to know more about these macronutrients, Google it up or just keep reading our blog. I'm going to be posting something real soon regarding these macros. But just remember, this is what's very important. They're all important, and you should just balance them all out. So again, here's some guidance for you guys. If your goal is fat loss, okay, and you are a very sedentary person or not very active, I recommend that about 25 to 35% of your calories come from carbs. Focus more on vegetables, some fruits, some complex carbs like brown rice, grains, things like that. Try to stay away as much as possible from processed foods. What do I mean processed? Enriched, processed foods, right? White bread, white pasta. Again, I'm not telling you not to eat these things ever. I'm just saying limit yourself and focus more on the better stuff. As far as protein goes, 30 to 40% of your calories, a minimum of 25 I would say, but 30 to 40% of the calories should come from protein sources. Lean meats, chicken, beef, fish, if you're not allergic, shellfish, shrimp and all those good things. And look into whey protein. Whey protein is also amazing. Dairy has a very good amount of protein, but definitely whey protein, and a supplement that I love called casein protein, which is a slow digestive protein that you can consume at night. That basically your body breaks down a little bit slower and promotes protein synthesis for a longer period of time. Okay. As far as fat goes, the rest of the calories should come from fat. Typically, I would suggest anywhere from 20% to 30% of your nutrition, of your fats, your calories should come from fats. Okay, so if you do the math again, figure out your calories and then just divide it all up and start eating. Okay, so remember, always eat smart. Healthy can become unhealthy. Okay, so again, hopefully this helped you guys out. Remember, as always, as I always tell you guys, don't just exercise. Train and always eat properly. Okay, I'll catch you guys later.